Welcome back to the casting desk, and we're going to continue week 8 now. We're back to Europe over on Saturday. We're going to start things off with, well, it's going to be a matchup of the bottom half of the European standings right now between FNATIC and Leftovers. Both of them pretty much fighting for relegation here to stay away from
Yeah, right now I believe it's FNATIC at the bottom. You can see Torpedo right above them at 7th, and then Leftovers coming in at 6th. However, Leftovers have had the fewest games in the SPL by far. Most teams rocking about 20 games played. They've only had 16, and they've got 5 sets left to play, including this one against FNATIC.
So technically, if they win 10-0 by winning all their sets completely, they could still potentially make it to DreamHack. Potentially. But it's not easy.
Not unlikely, or not likely.
Not unlikely?
I mean, honestly, their schedule isn't the worst. They have to face, I believe it's Torpedo, Cringe Crew, Hungry for More. However, that one sounds probably going to be a little bit more difficult than you would imagine at the first couple weeks. And then they end their split with Panthera.
So no, Leftovers probably not going to make it unless something dramatic happens. Rafa may get banned. We'll find out later on down into week 9.
Pretty sure Panthera can just coast for the rest of it.
And then obviously later on today, we're going to have a big matchup for that third place fight, the fight for the DreamHack spot between Hungry for More and Dignitas. Well, technically it's a second place fight at the moment as well with how the standings are looking. But anyway, into this game. FNATIC, they have 3 roster changes today. They've brought in Tynz, Dardez, and Jermain. So they've basically recruited Myrmidons.
They've basically recruited Myrmidons. 3 of the members. Here's the thing, though, right? Reels is on vacation. He's not going to be here. This could be detrimental for FNATIC if they want to get out of that relegation battle. Most notably, too, here is that these players aren't even playing their traditional roles. We're actually seeing Jermain, who is a phenomenal hunter, actually, I think #1 in the world when you're looking at the ranked scene. But he's actually playing jungle for FNATIC. Tynz is playing hunter, I believe it is.
Tynz is playing hunter, and Dardez will be in his natural role of support. So we're not going to even get the Bruise Brothers in the duel.
Oh, man, I really wanted that back.
I was excited for the Bruise Brothers in the duel.
That was such a good call last split.
It just worked out well because all they wanted to do was fight. But Jermain's going to be in the jungle. Let's go into picks and bans and see what he's going to jungle with.
Jiffy takes to this guy. FNATIC, they're just going to be focusing on the Phoenix as Jiffy rates Terror in the backline. Double tap. He's going to be able to get out for now. But a big snipe coming through. Zyrhoes finds 3 are over the top.
Pushing him forward, though. Oh, no, and Reels from the sky. Only does work here as Reels dives into the back line.
FNATIC had a very bad run this year from their own standards and everybody else's too. Expected to potentially be a top 3 team in Europe still this season, but it's not the story.
I think FNATIC is probably the biggest surprise, right? Hungry for More making their run, okay. This is the only team that I think people expected to be good and is not good, right? Everyone was saying that, okay, Panthera, they're still going to be #1, right? World champions. Paradigm probably going to be rocking #2. I think they've had a little bit of a tougher time than expected, but they've been doing really well in the past couple of weeks. And then just looking at FNATIC, everyone's like, all right, they're probably going to be 3rd seed. Maybe there'll be some contention for DreamHack, but right now, sitting at the bottom of Europe with 15 losses.
And they brought in Jiffy, and everyone was talking about how much of a strong player is he in ranked, as well as like Reels bringing in Big Man Tynz, and Big Man Tynz had a pretty good season.
I think he's been
he's been okay, but I mean, for Reels to be wanting to lane with him, you expect the experience of Reels, Zyrhoes, and maniaKK to be able to carry this and synergize it enough to make him something of a competitor this season.
I mean, it's so ridiculous when you really think about it, because Badgah and Captain Twig were released from the FNATIC roster, and now both of them, maybe not so much Badgah here over on Leftovers, but looking at Captain Twig, I mean, he's competing for DreamHack with his new squad. Picks and bans, though. Raijin going to be first picked for Zyrhoes here on FNATIC, and immediate response with Anhur and Najah.
Now Anhur and Najah locked in. I mean, Najah for Leftovers is kind of a tried, true, tested thing from Cherryo in the jungle before. He ran it at Bellona Conspiracy, the Super Regionals. They'll probably be looking for someone like Scylla, Vulcan in the mid lane, potentially, depending what we're going to see jungler pick.
And I think that's what's one of the biggest things there is that locking in that Najah not only keeps it away from the hands of Jiffy, which has probably been his most successful god, but I mean, there's no way that FNATIC can really lock in that Scylla. The bans have already gone through, which means they're not going to be able to ban it in the second phase. And if that's what Leftovers were looking for, it was the perfect pick.
Well, Tynz going to get the Apollo this time round. It won't be Jermain in that hunter position, or even Reels. It will be Tynz, who's known as a mid laner, at least from last split than what we saw him in. And a Nemesis locked in for the jungler Jermain.
Okay. Nemesis has quickly risen. I believe she was at a 2% pick rate just 2 weeks ago. Now you can see she's found herself banned away a couple times and picked, and a lot of success, surprisingly. There wasn't many changes to her, but I think just that bumping up every percent of that ultimate to be 50% has really made her just so much more powerful and able to get in and out, and I think have a better early game.
Well, over the course of this year, we've seen nerfs to the cooldown reduction, so she's had buffs to the cooldown reduction, so her ult's up more often now. It's like
the 75
seconds.
I think 75 seconds. You're right. I forgot about that
on top of that, you've also got the Divine Judgment now shredding 50%, which was only at max rank it used to do
which
that.
was
so
not
level
easy to
20,
I mean, that was pretty
no.
late game that you would have to get that.
And now that's just scheduled for like level 5, 50% damage, protection reduction, as well as 30% of health taken off.
And now the Scylla was locked in. Bans are coming through here, leftovers. Charting out the supports and solo laners, Tyr and Geb locked away, and some more supports taken away by FNATIC.
Now, Dardez does like Kumbhakana. He's one of his go-tos. He does like the Bacchus as well. So I won't be surprised to see FNATIC look at that, but it's leftovers with the first option here. They need a support as well. What will we see them pick up? It's actually going to be Ravana for Arkkyl in the solo lane.
I think leftovers might be the only... no, I understand.
Arkkyl and Nika.
Nika. I think leftovers are the only team that saves their counter pick on Chaos side for Badgah, right? Just so he can make sure to have control of the lane. He's going to match up against...
That's
we'll
being
see
team
what
leader though, right?
Pick. I mean, maybe.
That's being team leader. Badger's like, I want last pick because I am the superstar of this team. Because it was called Badger and Friends, this team, right?
That was.
It was called Badger and Friends when it was made by most people in the scene. And now Badger, now that he's in that team leader position, he's like, I want my last pick to be the counter pick, and I will be the support that does that.
Bacchus going to be locked in for Dardez here.
FNATIC could be an option here. I'm so good at this. I saw where Badger was going with that straight away.
I mean, there was also like every single support in Smite banned away outside of Kumba and Ares.
I mean, there was 4 supports.
I guess Ymir as well.
4 supports banned. There was
Ymir would get destroyed. This is actually, see, I almost feel like FNATIC baited this Ares pick out because Nemesis is very good against Ares because not only can you steal after he bolsters his defenses with his 2, but also when he goes up into the ult, all you need is the Nemesis ult and you could kill the Ares before he even pulls anyone in.
And Raijin, when he uses those Taiko drums, the drums of war, all he's going to be able to do is like go CC immune and then burst down the target that's standing still in the air, really. So Ares could be a bit of a situational issue for them. But if he gets going, and gets a couple of kills early, it could be a different story for leftovers.
We'll have to see if that can happen for leftovers. Let's go into game 1 between FNATIC and the leftovers.
Jungler whipping the ult, but the snipe is even better. Cherryo. Really pumping up the damage, very taking too much damage.
Nice,
Nika's
Nika.
in, however, be able to confirm that kill. The root is out. Nika gets that double kill. Great rotation.
Those 2 clips you just saw there was Arkkyl and Nika, and those 2 rookies for this year, the first signs of them into the SPL. They've not had bad performances overall. Nika especially, I'd say, has found his way nicely into the solo lane here. Arkkyl, a little bit of struggle here and there, but he's still shown some very nice signs from that hunter position.
Here's the problem with the leftovers, because they actually started off pretty strong with an even record, then they started piling up the losses, and I think a lot of that is Nika and Arkkyl. Not that they're bad players, but I really haven't seen them improve immensely, right? They came in, they were definitely equal, honestly, compared to the rest of Europe, but as the weeks have gone on, they haven't seemed to progress. Arkkyl specifically has had trouble in the hunter roles, especially getting 1v1'd in multiple scenarios, and that's one thing that leftovers really needed, because as a team, I think their team fights have been some of the best in Europe, but the individual power hasn't been there.
And we mentioned Arkkyl here, now against Tynz, who Tynz, let's be honest, we've not really seen him play the hunter role too much in any form of SPL action. He's mainly been a mid laner. So him coming into this role now, do you want to see Arkkyl with this Anhur and the Ares? They should be looking to bully this duo lane today.
They definitely need to be able to get to lane fast, though. Against an Apollo, right? And a Bacchus, you're a little bit worried because Ares really struggles to get control of lane. If he does have control of lane there, because the duo lane got to be able to push the first wave, it's very powerful because it's very scary if you're on the other side of an Ares and trying to get lane control back, because 3 chains, you can't jump away. That's a lot of damage, especially with an Anhur behind him.
And you called it. They do get to lane first leftovers now, so they're going to have a bit of an advantage now. Badgah going to force back Tynz there. You can see how he's staying at max range to use that audacity just to try and get some of the minions down, but they have to respect the aggression from an Ares and her early.
And you can see here, mid Harpy's going to go the way of leftovers for now. Jungler hanging around the mid camps, just waiting for Cherryo to get here, and man, I miss Cherryo in the mid lane, right? I think this is a better thing for the team to put jungler in the mid and Cherryo in the jungle, but I think he was one of the best mid laners in the world.
It's
when
down
he was
to communication, though, right? That's the reason. It's common issues.
Cherryo has to shot call from the jungle.
Cherryo wants to shot call from the jungle. That's the reason they've put him there now. And at the start of that game, you actually saw the solo laners with the junglers taking out the speed into blue and going to lane. But Leftovers got the advantage in the push in that solo lane, which allowed them to get fire imps and one of those mid harpies. So small advantage and experience for them in the mid and jungle. However, on the duo side, as well as that Sash hits Jermain in the mid, in the duo lane, they're also pushing out the boys of FNATIC early. So good signs for Leftovers so far.
And I love what jungler does there. Jermain's out of range, so he actually roots Zyrhoes in the middle lane, and then just gets a little bit extra poke off, which means it's so much harder for FNATIC to try and contest that left side Harpy invade. And you can see they have to give it up. They're going to go to their rights, and now they're not going to have control in the mid lane either. The wave's already cleared. And
you can see that Leftovers could just swing straight into that jungle if they so choose and take those back Harpies on either side, or even look to pressure left-hand side, but bit of a difficult ask there, especially with Dardez and Tynz being under the tower. We shoot into solo lane though, and Nika, well, he's doing what he can with the Ravana early. At the moment, though, it looks like maniaK's having a bit of a better time here, and that's a bit surprising, Bellona versus Ravana.
This is a slap fight for the most part. Nika going into the Bluestone, expecting to be disarmed, so not going to be able to get auto attacks off and heal up. And it's going to be very hard for Nika right now because he doesn't have the Death Toll sustain. You can see he's out of potions, and maniaKK still has a multi-potion and a health potion, as well as the advantage in this lane right now.
Yeah, chain does connect there from Badgah, second one as well, but the stun will be returned from the Belch, and good poke coming out from Tynz. Just standard sort of play between the duo lane. Tynz, though, is out of potions there, as you can see in that bottom left-hand corner, where Arkkyl still sits with all three.
Level 6 Cherryo here, trying to gank maniaKK. Gonna miss the stun in maniaKK. He'll be fine. Really nice reaction time, recognizing that Cherryo is coming out of the jungle. Quickly turns around, shield bashes away, and the gank fails.
He could be in a bit of an awkward position. Luckily, the Sash is on cooldown for a few more seconds, so we probably won't see Cherryo look for aggression. Instead, he's going to try and get the farm, and you can see Jungler holding it there for him inside the crush. The ring toss will help clear out the rest of those creeps. So far, so good. If we go to the graphs, it should be a small experience lead for
Very
Leftovers, but it's something.
500 right now, as well as a couple hundred gold, and that's just them having the superior 2v2 and making sure to push it. It's a little bit worrying with Nemesis, right? The later she goes, the better she's going to get, but what she really struggles at is early game pressure. Now that's been a little bit mitigated with, Divine Judgment being more potent early on, but when it comes to jungle clear, she's just simply slower than
Especially with
Cherryo,
without Wrath or Hog that it used to be, where you used to clear three creeps very, very quickly and allow you to get those rotations going. Made a lot more junglers viable, but with the support she gets nowadays, we've been able to farm up as much as she does with the mid lane. She can just farm through the early stages and just get to that late game. And talk about late game, both teams here do have a pretty strong late game composition. I'd say I favor FNATIC, though, in the very late game stages.
I guess for me, it's going to be dependent on jungler here. With this Scylla, we've seen just if you can line up the Scylla, if you can get the stuns, it's very powerful, because even if you don't get the reset, I mean, the ability hits for, upwards of 1,600 without even all items.
Like we may see first blood. Arkkyl is in an awkward position, and Dardez on the mark with that FNATIC getting first blood.
Not exactly sure what happened there. Arkkyl did have Desert's Fury, so he could have immune to the knockup coming out of Dardez, but a little bit slow on the reaction time, or maybe just thought he was dead either way.
Dardez has been spoken about in the support role for a long time. Like last season, he was being mentioned as a very, very good support from some of the big names.
Very
in
aggro.
Europe. Yeah, very aggressive support. Him and Jermain were known as the Bruise Brothers for the Myrmidons, and they would take the fight to their opposition. And it looks like it's gone the same way again. FNATIC now get themselves on the board and actually just climb back on that gold disparity that there was.
And now just a slight lead in favor of FNATIC here. Cherryo going to be coming out of the jungle, sees Jermain.
Well, they're going to ult him and force the ult immediately.
That's a win for Jermain. That's a win for Jermain, because he's not really in a position where he wants to get aggressive and start a lot of fights early. He wants to farm out as much as he can. And honestly, I mean, 75 seconds, his ult's going to be up way before Cherryo's.
Yeah, let's just shoot him with Cherryo now as we see them do the back copies, and you'll see the difference.
54 to 20-second difference.
Big 20-second difference. So now Jermain could potentially do that again, and there'll be no real escape for Cherryo from that situation if he finds him in that same rotation.
He has about that 20-second window. I'll be interested to see what Jermain goes into build style, because the old school Nemesis was very attack speed oriented. You would go Jotuns maybe just for a little bit of cooldown and the penetration early, but then you'd go into Chins, Ickfile. It'd be all about diving the back line, getting a couple autos off, and finishing off a squishy target. But Captain Twig, once he picked up Nemesis, and he was the first one to really find success on it with Hungry for More, it changed into more of an ult bot, where he would go a lot of cooldown reduction and void shield and very tanky front line-ish.
And we'll see how Jermain chooses to play this, because Captain Twig, last time we saw him on the Nemesis, was one of these sneaky guys that hung around the jungle till the fight was going on, then find the target that was isolated and look to pick him up, especially because there's nobody that can really pull them or displace the enemy team on their side in terms of him having to be out of position or dive in there. He's going to have to be patient with that. See how it works out. But there's the ult on Cherryo again. We mentioned it, and immediately forces Purification. Flop off the mark, and Sash does hit Dardez, but the follow-up from Zyrhoes is here. The drums of war get hit. 3 do hit, but it's not enough as Desert Fury comes through from Arkkyl. He'll make it a 1-for-1 trade.
Tynz trades out as well. Arkkyl on full retreat. Leftover is going to back off there, and oh my word, Cherryo, he falls in the end, but that was absolutely beautiful from him. Immediately, the first thing we see from him is he pops the Purification so he doesn't get stunned, and then he backsteps as Zyrhoes comes crashing over the corner, puts himself into an awkward spot. Nika should be able to make space between Jermain here. Jermain has boots 3, but not going to be enough.
Just in time, anyway, was trying to tank up the tower there. And you mentioned how well Cherryo played that, but Tynz and Arkkyl. Arkkyl, for me, made the better play. Tynz rotated him with his ultimate, and Arkkyl walked across the map at the same stage and managed to get there at the same time for that team fight from the Hunter position.
But I mean, here's the thing, right? Cherryo was dead. He had no ults. He had only Purification. He backsteps the belly flop, and then he actually sashes to a target to immune the Thunder Crash damage. He lived for so much longer than he should have, and he baited Zyrhoes way too deep. But Arkkyl, phenomenal rotation to be in Apollo there as well.
The difference is, though, that for me, it definitely went the way of FNATIC, though. They only lost their support in that engagement instead of the jungler, which was Cherryo. Cherryo falling down there. Yeah, they traded it out, but losing the support, it's not that much.
It's not that big of a deal. Especially a Bacchus who translates pretty well whether he's ahead or behind, right? If you lose an Ares, that could be a detriment, because an Ares from behind, especially against the Nemesis, you're just a walking death at that point.
I mean, you're still going to use your flop, which is very, very useful at all stages. Knock-up is one of the strongest CCs in the game, if not the strongest.
You need no damage. All you need is knock up and intoxicate, and then you've done your job as a Bacchus.
Sash connects from Cherryo onto Jermain again. Jermain popping the shield, and Dardez's belt's just going to zone them away from trying to find any follow-up. But nice little poke from Cherryo, just showing he can land those sashes.
That could have potentially been a kill, but it would have been fairly heavy investment onto the leftover side, and with Raijin's ult up as well, they probably didn't want to risk it too much here. 2-1 in favor of FNATIC early on, though. Neither team really trying to force anything big. We've just seen players getting caught out a little bit.
It was an interesting skirmish in the jungle, though, for Cherryo, where we just saw that 1-for-1 trade, because the Hunters turned up. There was no mid-Harpy fight going on. There was no mid-Harpies available, but even the Hunters were ready to fight that engagement.
And now heading into the 9th minute, Zyrhoes here going to be farming up his back camps for now. Right-hand side, maniaKK getting 2v1'd. Cherryo does have ult.
This was an important situation, though, to try and put some pressure onto the leftovers a little bit. Sorry, onto maniaKK, I should say, from the leftovers, because he was starting to run away with things over Nika a little bit in that solo lane. Jermain turns up at the right time, though, just to make sure the issue doesn't develop even worse for maniaKK there, so they both do manage to disengage, and everyone's just going to go back to farming.
Cherryo there also burning his ult. Really well-timed Eagles rally from maniaKK to juke that out, and then Cherryo not going to be able to get that. Going to find Dardez here in the mid lane, and here's Badgah. He's got a two-man
Now Dardez
pool.
is going to get pulled in, but where's the Armor Monster? He's not been popped. Instead, the Crush connects with Zyrhoes, and Zyrhoes, well, he returned some nice fire damage onto Badgah, which we spoke about earlier. Not really much to talk about in that one. I'm surprised they didn't focus Dardez.
That was jungler, knowing he didn't have the damage with I'm a Monster just yet. You can see he's actually going for a Warlock Sesh, so he's trying to farm up to late game. He doesn't have a power spike. A lot of times we'll see Dynasty played here, and I think if he has that, extra 15 penetration, maybe he goes for the kill, but it was just a fact of, I don't have the damage right now. Let's just lose the Ares ult. Let's not lose the Scylla ult.
Thinking about this composition more between the two teams, what you're probably going to see here is Badgah goes in for the ult, and immediately Zyrhoes is going to pop his ult in response. But then if jungler uses I'm a Monster, he can hit Zyrhoes for free because he's not moving as quickly, so he's going to be free damage onto him.
And it was buffed a little bit to where you're moving a little bit faster in Taiko drums, but still not fast enough to get out of a Scylla ult, and it really is a nice combination coming out from them.
I just hope Leftovers notice that they can do that against this Raijin, is potentially force him to ult defensively and then hit him with the Armor Monster and potentially win a team fight based off the mage being dead already.
I mean, this game for Leftovers is going to be a lot of purification burners, right? The Scylla, once she gets a root max, has the triple root. Badgah with no escape. Cherryo as well, sashing players. He'll probably, a mid-game and late-game, not even sash trying to set up a kill, just trying to bait the purification out because the player knows that if he doesn't purify there, he's probably going to die, and it's just kind of a game of chicken at that point, and that's going to be very important to make sure that Leftovers can get off their wombo combo damage.
While speed buffs are available, both junglers going to return to them. Imps has now stopped spawning in the Fire Giant pit now. Obviously, we hit that 10-minute mark as the Harpies were traded out in the mid lane. Red buff is available on the left-hand side here, and the left-hand side here for both teams now as Leftovers one just respawns. And maniaKK looking at the blue buff, but Cherryo's presence is going to deny him that option.
Jermain going to be back probably by full Jotuns. No, actually going straight into the Void Shield, so not even worried about the cooldown. Like we said earlier, the ults on Divine Judgment, not that high. I believe 75 seconds, so Jermain instead just going to start frontlining very early.
And you mentioned that, but look at Cherryo. He's also going for the Void Shield. Both junglers going for this option. Now we've seen the rise of the Void Shield in the jungle a little bit more this season.
Especially in the past couple weeks. I think we saw Paradigm start to invest into it, and there it is, Beads Barners. Cherryo forces purification out from Zyrhoes. Honestly, he could have ulted Zyrhoes there, but just trying to bait it. Just wants to bait it. 160-second cooldown.
And now the purification's on cooldown. Keep an eye on Badgah going in. He's got the blink online. If he goes for the ultimate now, he's going to force the ultimate out of Zyrhoes.
Scylla over the top.
And Scylla over the top. And then, well, if Dardez also gets hit by the ultimate, you can ult Zyrhoes, kill him, get the reset, and then ult Dardez after he gets pulled. It's a genius little idea if it works out. We'll find out, though. Flop in the jungle comes out from Dardez, looking for some pressure on Cherryo, but once again, nice ultimate coming out from Cherryo this time after the sash. They're looking to collapse on to the intoxicating man. And a monster comes out, but it's jungler that's going to fall to Zyrhoes and the ultimate there. Badgah gets the no escape off, but it's not going to connect thanks to the purification. But sprint pop from FNATIC. They're chasing this down. Badgah's in trouble.
Zyrhoes thunder crashes forward, looking for Badgah here. Cherryo just trying to help peel for his support, but it's not going to be enough. maniaKK finishes off the kill, and actually here's Jermain and the rest of FNATIC as well, pushing between a tier 1 and tier 2. Bludgeon connects onto Nika, but not enough damage. That's a pretty tanky solo laner, and it's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of FNATIC, and that was jungler having some atrocious positioning there.
I don't think it was just jungler having positioning issues. It was the choice to actually go on to Dardez there on that Bacchus in the jungle. I mean, you've just burned the beads of Zyrhoes. Why not look at him instead? They tried to catch Bacchus in the jungle and rotate in for it, and it just set Zyrhoes up for a hit with his ultimate through 3 targets.
Not only that, I mean, Dardez has Shell as well. He popped it in that engagement. That's going to be 40 all protections as well as the 15% damage reduction. And then Bacchus, just the chug, will give you protections as well. It's going to be very hard. And you saw I'm Monster tickle Dardez. He falls in the end just because he was getting collapsed on by 3 players. But it baited, like you said, all of Leftovers into one spot. Zyrhoes hits 3 players with taiko drums, multiple ticks.
Multiple ticks, and it just allowed FNATIC to win the fight. They don't get anything more off that, though. There was nothing available in the jungle for them to take. Mid Harpy's going to respawn. Leftover's going to get the right ones. Left one's due to spawn in a few seconds. Not flashing just yet, but we'll see if we see a fight over that one now.
And now the 3v3 grouping in the mid lane here. You can actually see Tynz is rotated over. So mid Harpies will go the way of FNATIC for now. They've garnered themselves about 1,000 gold lead early on here. And no attention to the Gold Fury early on. Mid lane, though.
We may see a fight because you see Arkkyl rotating over as well. Nisha does take one to this guy, but Monster pops, but Jermain healed up nicely. Taiko drums comes out from Zyrhoes. He's in a nice position, but Tynz, great impale coming out from Arkkyl to stop that aggression coming out from him, and the shell was forced onto FNATIC. Both teams group up in mid, and now they're going to go back to respectable lanes.
That was once again Leftovers trying to all in on player, but they just don't have the damage at this point. This time it was onto Jermain, and he's got the Void Shield. We took note of it earlier on. maniaKK trying to stop the speed buff, but Nika's going to secure it for Cherryo anyway.
Surprised we see Jermain disengage from this, because maniaKK was looking at the blue buff there. The rotation possibly available for Leftovers means he's going to return to his own side of the map and take the speed himself, but good work from Nika to hold his own speed.
And a little bit lucky there, too, for him. It'd be really bad, honestly, if FNATIC were able to steal that away. That puts Cherryo in an awkward spot. He's already been struggling a little bit. He's 0-1-2. And honestly, it just seems like Leftovers, they're trying to all in, but they're underestimating how tanky these members of FNATIC are. Nemesis with that Void Shield has the early protections, in addition to the shield as well, right? Jermain did get very low, but then he healed most of it back up.
It's true, and I think the big talking point is right now, Leftovers, the target selection. Target selection has been a bit of an issue for them in this game so far. I think they went for the tankier targets, they wouldn't look for the sub-squishies. I mean, you want to get going early on Leftovers just because you've got the Najah versus the Nemesis, and Najah definitely more useful earlier on in the game than the Nemesis is, but for now, FNATIC, they went 4-2.
And still no Gold Fury looked at from either team.
There's not been real an opportunity for that, though,
Yeah.
realistically. I mean, they found a fight, a win in a team fight, but it's not been a clear enough one to look at that Gold Fury and secure
and you
it.
can see the heavy wards over there as well. There's 4 condensed around the Gold Fury area, 2 on it, and then 2 on that left-hand side to make sure to have vision of those hunters on if they're going to be rotating over trying to take it. Now, FNATIC, they're starting to look at it. Actually,
Well,
they might be looking for
collapse.
Badgah.
Yeah, they're trying to catch Badgah on the rotation there, but you can see the position of Cherryo as well. FNATIC not willing to go for that one. When you actually look at the Gold Fury, one of the reasons we're not seeing it done is both teams have very good secure on their side.
You know, this is interesting. I know this is a fill-in, right, for FNATIC because Reels is gone. But, I mean, Jiffy and Big Man Tynz were the 2 players that, you know, came into this roster as, like, this is the next generation FNATIC. Left-hand side, Tynz going to be forced out and forced to purify. Just what Cherryo's been looking for all game. But do you think this could be FNATIC looking at going a different direction in the fall split?
Who knows? I mean, let's be honest, it's just a filler for now. That's all we know, is that it's a filler between these 2 teams. They've not got Reels in. I don't know what's up with Jiffy and Big Man Tynz and why they're not playing, because all they had to really do was put Jermain in for Reels. That's what I would have
Well,
thought.
that's what I was thinking. Or even if it's, you know, put Jermain and Dardez together because they are a duo lane and it's kind of like they're going to be more comfortable.
It could be something like that. When you think about this angle, there's got a rotation around the back. Nemesis ult does connect, and it's going to slow down Arkkyl. Arkkyl going to get slowed again, and you've got Dardez following up and a good purification, but Tynz flying in, and Cherryo has to use the ult defensively. We even get a teleport out and Nika here to help defend a little bit more. And it's actually Jermain in a little bit of trouble there, but the shell pop from Dardez and no follow-up just yet.
maniaKK.
And maniaKK in the jungle is going to ward off the rest of the leftovers trying to collapse around the back.
He teleported in and quickly saw Badgah and Jungler in and backed off here, and it looks like leftovers. They still have their grouping on the left-hand side. Arkkyl has gone back to base. Jermain's going to back as well. And this could be a Gold Fury attempt, but I think leftovers were a little bit slow to pull the trigger. They didn't see all the members of FNATIC backing. They're going to try and find Zyrhoes here, but they're not going to be able to get a kill, and it's just going to be the left harpies.
We got left harpies potentially. I'm not sure if they were stolen over the wall there from Zyrhoes as well. But going back to the point about FNATIC here, Dardez, Tynz, and Jermain were potentially on one of the teams that could look at a relegation spot, relegation fight. Now they've roster locked themselves for that.
Yeah, they can't play in the Challenger Cup after they've played in the SPL, so they're stuck here. And I think, I mean, these players are good enough, you know, to be a Challenger Cup team to potentially relegate one of the bottom
has
SPL
FNATIC
teams.
offered them something for this to happen? I mean, it's
I mean,
possible.
this is just us speculating. Maybe
Yeah, it
this,
is speculation.
I think this is a test, right? It's like, all right, let's see how you guys do, especially without Reels, and see how the squad feels.
Well, at the moment, the squad's not doing too bad for themselves. They're up in gold at the moment, 4-2 in the standings too, approaching 20 minutes in. A little bit slow paced, and I guess, well, for one side of this, FNATIC are currently in the lead a little bit, so leftovers are playing it a little bit safer. But FNATIC, well, they're not really a synergized unit of an SPL team just yet, are they?
To be fair, that's Myrmidons, right? That's the same thing with Myrmidons last season, where Myrmidons were like very talented. Even the top of EU was always scared of them because they know that at any one point the players could go off all very mechanically skilled. They just never knew how to work as a team, never knew how to work as a unit, theorycraft and strategize against other competitive units. And you know, I think bringing in Jermain and Dardez, right? If this is going to be a real thing, now obviously we're all still speculating. That could make FNATIC scary because those players have found success on the SPL stage where, you know, people like Jiffy haven't.
Very true. We'll see how it works out for him. I mean, at the moment, what FNATIC have done this game in these 19 minutes is basically sit back, let leftovers make the plays, and then counter those plays every single time to result in their favor.
And that's telling me that FNATIC are definitely looking for the late game engagements. Obviously, leftovers, when you have the Najah, while it can translate to kills on Scylla late game, it's really about just getting very aggressive early on.
Well, when Raijin finally gets the big power spike, which it looks like he should do now, and you hit somebody with Divine Judgment, 50% protection's removed, and then you hit him with Taiko drums, well, good night. You'll go back to base.
You know, funny enough, because you said this about how leftovers were trying to bait out the purification on Zyrhoes, and then quickly ult him once he goes into his ult. That's kind of the same on Badgah, right? No escape is a very slow-moving ability.
That's
I
true.
think it's 50% reduced
Oh,
movement.
Cherryo going to walk around and find an awkward position there, but a good little play coming out to stop them. Now no escape from Badger's going to go off as well. Only pulling Dardez in, no focus. Tycho drums pop from Zyrhoes. He gets one hit. No resulting hits after that, though. And with that, the fight's going to fade for now, but Leftovers, they should feel confident knowing Zyrhoes has no ultimate.
Meditation pop just to keep FNATIC healthy for now, and it doesn't look like Leftovers want to force the Gold Fury. Nika and maniaKK, they've rotated over to the mid lane. And actually, maniaKK in a little bit of trouble.
He is, but the crush was popped early. Hammer Monster is also there, waiting and primed, and boom goes the dynamite, but it's not enough for a kill. Eagles Rally gets him out, and now the turnaround from FNATIC is here. Not really looking to try and find the kill if they can't. They're just looking to zone out. But meanwhile, in the jungle, man fight.
Tynz wants this here, but his dash is already down, or excuse me, it's up, but he doesn't want to dash into a tier 2. Risk the rotation from the rest of Leftovers, and it's just going to be a standoff, right? This is like, both teams know that, I think they both know that they want the other team to engage and then force the fight afterwards.
They just can't find the kill. That's the thing with both these
Especially
teams now.
Leftovers.
They look for a pick. Both of them look for a pick there. Didn't find a single one. They got a lot of damage off, but not enough. But FNATIC feeling themselves here. They're going to pull the goal through. Knowing Hammer Monster's down and Cherryo ult as well. They're looking at this one. Nemesis ult should be up soon. Badgah doesn't have an Intoxicate, I should say, on Dardez. But Gold Fury, it has fallen down the way of FNATIC, and the fight's still going on. Jermain going to get out of the danger, but being chased by the Desert Fury of Arkkyl, who was on point with most of those shots. Meanwhile, maniaKK fighting for, and he does not. Oh, he does have an Eagles Rally, I should say. It's back up.
Just comes up. Zyrhoes in a little bit of trouble, too. He's going to Thunder Crash away, but Cherryo with that speed buff, going to be able to close the cap fast enough. And here comes the rest of Leftovers. They should be able to lock him down. Just going to be a matter of time and who gets it here. And it's going to go the way of Nika. Tier 1 tower in the middle lane as well. Looked at, but here comes the rest of FNATIC forcing off Leftovers.
High enough in health, though, to continue pushing in. Dardez does come back late, which should mean they can defend this tower with Tynz following up on that Apollo too. But that fight went the way of Leftovers. The Gold Fury, however, went the way of FNATIC, so we've still got an even game here.
And maniaKK teleports in, guaranteeing that the Tier 1 and middle will stand. And FNATIC, they've got about a 2,000 gold lead, but I mean, with how close this game has been and with how slow-paced the lead has been, right? We're 22 minutes in, right? 2K is, you know, another team warding a little bit better than the other team.
It's 1,000 gold per 10 minutes.
You know what I'm surprised at here? These
What?
damage charge. Cherryo sitting on top, and we've seen him all over trying to force things, always burning Purification. He's been definitely the best and most consistent player on Leftovers. It's just unfortunate that the team hasn't been able to capitalize off of his aggression.
And he's found his way back into the jungle quite handedly. He's not really like stuck a step to anything with it, I feel.
Yeah, Cherryo's just such a really good all-around player. I still go back, I think it's wasting his talent, keeping him away from mid lane, but this does mean Leftovers are a little bit better as a unit.
I mean, you say he's wasting talent, but if he can shot call, and then shot calling is one of the hardest things in the game that we don't get to see when we cast these games, but shot calling is such an important factor to a team that put him in the jungle. I don't think he's going away from his talent, it's actually bringing his talent.
I mean, we saw just ALG, right, dominate Envy once Weekend comes back in. They had been looking for a shot caller all split. Now, that was against Envy, who have, you know, lost one game out of their last 13. They've been struggling, but you still expected them to come up big against a Legion or at least make the games close.
Well, shot calling as a whole is down to, originally, it's like you make a call that's correct for the most part, but you also need the respect of your team. If your team don't agree with what your shot call is and they don't follow through completely, that can mess up the game for you as well. Shot calling is one of the biggest things in the game that you just don't get to see.
You know, shot calling makes the team more than the sum of the parts, right? That's one of the things that shot calling does. Even if you don't have the individual skill on each player, just everyone following a single call, respecting a single player, and committing can make them beat teams that honestly are just better than them individually.
Jermain's in a little bit of trouble there, going to get chained twice, and a third time more than likely coming out from Badgah, but around the back comes Dardez, and the stun is not going to connect, neither is the flop, so Badgah just walks away from that, and the potential gank from FNATIC that could have happened there fails.
Left-hand side, actually Cherryo going aggressive once again on a Tynz. He's juking out, waiting for
That was very nice.
the sash to come up. But
so Tynz played that perfectly. He's dodging around, trying to make it very difficult for Cherryo to find the sash that he was looking for. Obviously, Arkkyl's coming in, so Cherryo doesn't mind that, but instead Tynz walks up to him to get the mez to create the room to escape.
And now Cherryo still hanging around that left-hand side. He's going to back with Arkkyl, which gives FNATIC a power play on these mid-harpies. No way that Leftovers are going to be able to contest that with two members at spawn.
Let's check the graphs right now, because I just want to see if there's a goal difference in experience. No, it's pretty much even, so it's just that gold lead between the two in favor of FNATIC.
I think
2,000 split between 5, it's not as much as you think.
Every player's the same level? No, Cherryo and Arkkyl are down, but very, Very slightly. Nothing important.
You mentioned Cherryo and Arkkyl are down, but Cherryo being down on Jermain on that Nemesis is a threat. Nemesis getting to level 20 quickly, quicker than the Cherryo as well on that Ninja, will be a bigger threat as time goes on, especially when the shield is maxed as well. The dash will do a little bit more. On top of that, he has maxed his shield second.
And 25 minutes in, nothing crazy has happened at all, right? Even 43 in kills. We've seen a bunch of engagements and a bunch of very close kills, but not able to confirm it. Badgah's escaped death multiple times. He still has one.
I think both teams for the first 25 minutes of this game will look back and go, if we would have confirmed some of these kills earlier on, this could have been over quicker. This could have been a quicker game that could have gone in our favor. So there's plenty of things to look back at and realize that, you know, where the mistakes were potentially made if you lose this game.
The big thing is for FNATIC is that their team is very slippery, right? Not only maniaKK just being tanky in general, Jermain has a double dash, he's got slows, he's got divine judgment where he can steal protections as well as speed himself up. He has a shield, which not only negates damage, but heals him up. Zyrhoes, pretty safe mid laner, he's got a thunder crash. Dardez, just very tanky, has the shell as well. And then Apollo, right? It's Apollo. He can fly across the map. He has Mez, which gives him 50 protections as well as a dash. It is not easy for leftovers to lock these targets down.
And those player damage charts you can see there, those mages will burst up very, very soon. Ratatouille being worked on now by Zyrhoes by the looks of it, and then it'll be probably Soul Reaver at the end. Meanwhile, Jungler doing the same sort of thing here. Looks like he's going for a Ratatouille after finishing off that whole Warlock Sash, so he's made himself a little bit tankier, which I think is kind of wise, because Warlock Sash gives you pure health. And health is great against the Divine Judgment to an extent of the Jermain's Nemesis instead of protections.
And it doesn't give you, it's kind of this weird thing where it's like, Jermain is going to steal more health from you, but you have a higher base to begin with. So it's interesting, like, the ult's going to do more damage, but I don't know, it's always hard to see. And the thing with Scylla is I feel like if she gets caught, she's dead anyway. I don't really think there's anyone, like if she gets hit by Zyrhoes without purification and gets taunted into the rest of Taiko Drums, she's just dead.
I think Nemesis is the only assassin that has an ultimate that can't kill you. Like on its own.
I'm thinking.
I was just trying to wear that out in my head, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Because everyone else just does like
everybody else
damage,
does something that
flat
deals
damage.
damage. I mean, this does damage, but it does a percentage of your current health. It can never execute you.
If you ult someone at 1 HP, I'm assuming they stay at 1 HP?
I don't know.
I would imagine they would stay at 1 HP.
30% at 1 HP?
It probably rounds down.
It's 50% at 1 HP. So do we round up or round down? That's the question
I think we round down.
I'll be right. Analyst.
I'm assuming.
Analyst, I hope you're
right. I
right.
don't know, man.
Someone's calling you out on Twitter right now. You're wrong. You die at 1 HP.
It's probably MLB Star or someone. Gold Fury still not looked at. 27 minutes in, very slow-paced game, but the teams are starting to hit late. And FNATIC, they feel like they have an advantage right now, and that's because Cherryo actually goes to the right-hand side to try and gank maniaKK, so it's a numbers advantage.
Dardez got a little bit of zone advantage, but pushed back by Badgah now. Gold Fury pulled actually by Arkkyl and now forced to reset. Now both teams group up. No advantage for either team. Ring toss, though, going to get some extra damage on the line for Cherryo. No follow-up from either team again. And it was FNATIC last time around that forced the Gold Fury and found it. This time, not to be.
You know what I love now is the meta change on the meditations, right? It's the Raffer meds now, where it's like, even if we're not fighting, just use the meditation, keep everyone healthy. So if a fight does break out, you can make sure you're at full health. You don't have to worry about getting bursted down. Jermain here, going to be
flop
looking
as well. There's the slow. Badgah in trouble. The shell was used on him, but Zyrhoes comes through big, even through the shell, and Zyrhoes deletes one. Now Thunder crashes over, looking for another, but the Sanctuary will keep Arkkyl alive for now. Tynz, though, is going to look for the dunk.
He's going to get it. It's confirmed. Arkkyl falls in, and now FNATIC, they've taken out 2 members, switching over. I'm a monster. Connect one resets just off the mark on FNATIC, but here comes Nika chasing down the back line.
He only found one, the second one just off the mark, and now Eagle's rally from maniaKK comes in, but it hit Jungler. It wasn't really the target. He would have preferred he would have looked for Nika if possible at how low they were, but now FNATIC can look at the red buff, try to steal this away in time, but no, Jungler did defend his red buff there just about.
FNATIC need to ignore that red buff. Don't even try and protect it. You can see they're also not even going for the Gold Fury. Still a little bit worried. FNATIC coming out on top of that team fight 2-1. You can see just doubling the damage of leftovers. They were on full retreat, and that's with Jungler hitting a big ultimate.
I mentioned mages. Like the 2 mages in the mid lane, they've been kind of quiet on the player damage halfway through the table, and that one little skirmish there, you'll see they've bumped themselves up now to just behind the top 2. Not a surprise to see. I mean, those 2 ultimates alone that these 2 have can completely decimate a team fight.
And I mean, we saw just that. Badgah gets eliminated, and then Jungler able to find a return kill onto, I believe it was Was it Badgah or it was Tynz, excuse me.
Tynz.
Able to find the return kill onto Tynz.
And it was Tynz that found that kill. He also found the kill onto
Arkkyl.
Arkkyl, so it was a 2-for-1 trade, or 2-for-2, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's 6-4 is the standings right now. Golfury's still alive as Badger's currently trying to clear a ward. Dardez going to turn up and find it, but he's not got any sentries himself in his inventory.
Couple sentries still online, though. I would imagine Jermain's going to take his trip over there, make sure to get vision control. That's always worrying, especially in more so in North America. North America is very willing to get the sneak Gold Furies to burn them very quickly.
I'm going to call what's going to happen in this game now. You ready?
I'm listening.
With my amazing vision. What's going to happen is going to be a mini team fight around gold. One team's going to get it for free in the end, and then we're going to have a dance around Fire Giant.
30-minute dance?
No, I don't know about 30 minutes, but we're going to have a dance around Fire
Probably
Giant,
8
that's for
minutes.
sure.
It'll probably be
Gank
an
left-hand
8
side, though. Tynz could be in trouble now. He's not recognized he's got damage from behind with the ring toss coming out. The Mez misses, but he's going to get the ultimate off, but the chains are good enough with the enhance from Arkkyl. Nice little play. Cherryo didn't do anything.
I mean, he backed up, missed the Mez, and was able to get the extra autos off to confirm the kill onto Tynz. If he had walked into that Mez, Tynz was out for free.
That's true. That's true. Now Golfury going to be started up, and Dardez has to come in with the Intoxicate. No escape from Badgers off, but he gets ulted as well. And there's the ult from Eagles Rally, and the Taiko drums come raining down from FNATIC. But Zyrhoes in the back is in trouble now as the Desert Fury's bursting
he got
through.
rooted.
Cherryo kept him in place with the sash, and now Dardez will be the next to fall. Arkkyl with a double kill. Underneath comes Jungler with the Sentinel, and this is a cleanup from Leftovers.
4 dead on the side of FNATIC. Leftovers execute a beautiful fight. FNATIC all in Badgah after he ulted there. Unfortunately, they couldn't burst him in time and wasted way too many abilities on it. The rest of FNATIC close up. Cherryo and Jungler combining to keep FNATIC locked down. They couldn't get away, which is what we were talking about, how slippery they were. But when Leftovers can keep them in place, there's nowhere for them to go.
Well, I said that Golfury should go for free, but it didn't. Like, there was a big engagement, and FNATIC ended up losing. It all started with Tynz just being picked off. Before that engagement began,
you're not Nostradamus.
I don't want to be Nostradamus.
Only I could predict the future.
I just want to be Hindu best man. That's all I want to be. That's fine by me. Right side, Harpy's taken down by Leftovers there. As you can see in that fight, the big difference in damage wasn't that much. It was the gold that came off it because of the Gold Fury as well. Huge jump up for Leftovers. So when we go to the graphs now, we should be able to see that things are looking pretty good for Leftovers, even though the gold is now, well, it's even in the other direction.
That was a 4,500 gold swing. You have to think of it that way.
That's true.
FNATIC were 2,500 in the lead. Not only the Gold Fury, but 4 kills, a tower in the middle lane, a tower in the dual lane, and like you said, massive experience. Arkkyl and Cherryo now both level 20. However, it looks like we have 20s across the board outside of the supports.
It's 32 minutes in, so
it doesn't feel like it's 32 minutes in.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It still feels like it's very early in the game, but I still think the fire dance is going to happen now, where both teams going to start warding up. That Gold Fury is not going to be as important now. Most people reaching, if not already reached, full build.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I think the Hunters are full build right now. Everyone else needs about an item left. The supports need 2. You can see Badgah is starting to work on what I'm assuming is going to be Mantle of Discord. And Dardez hasn't purchased the next rank of his item.
Even though Leftovers got a lot of games left, this is why I can see this potentially being like a relegation fight for them this year as well. They've against FNATIC, who've struggled all year with 3 substitutes coming in, and they're struggling here. They're not finding this clean, you know? I think this is going to be a tale of fighting to stay out of the relegation zone. There's 3 teams in that area, Torpedoes 1 and these 2. And whichever one makes it out is the one that's going to perform the most consistent overall. And surprisingly enough, that's what
I would imagine Cringe Crew, Dignitas, and definitely Hunger for More. They're not going to be dropping down to the bottom 3 right now. All 3 of those teams looking for that DreamHack spot. Honestly, the other 2 probably going to be sitting right below them.
And the reason we say this, Leftovers technically have a potential to go on a 10-game winning streak. If they do, that could potentially take them to DreamHack if everything works in their favor.
That's a very hard road to come by.
Hey,
they
that's
have to
the
face
dream.
Cringe Crew and Hungry for More and Panthera.
Well, first of all, they've got a 2-0 FNATIC here, and at the moment, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do that just because of that little one team fight. Because so far, it's even.
The game's even, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, 2,000. I was talking about how 2,000 gold was nothing at 20 minutes. Well, now it's 30 minutes, and it's really nothing. Looking at the relics, though, you can see Leftovers don't really have a ton of team fighting relics. They have a single sprint and a single shell, where we've got 2 shells, 2 sprints, and a meditation on the side of FNATIC. Leftovers have gone very, I don't want to say greedy, but it's all very like keep myself alive, sanctuary, purification.
I like the 2 shells from FNATIC more than anything else. Those 2 shells and the meditate will just absorb so much damage, and most of that damage is going to come from junglers' crushes and the armor monsters that can hit the whole team potentially. Especially when you've got maniaKK on that Bellona as well as Nemesis hold that fort. We've got aggression in the jungle onto Badgah again as he gets flopped on, and now he gets hit by the Intoxicate, but the shell is keeping him alive. Badgah very tanky at this stage. Crush turnaround damage from jungle as Zyrhoes now jumps in. I'm a monster! He's going to smash into Zyrhoes' face as the drums rain back to jungler. But still, both of them stand as maniaKK creates his own with the Eagles rally, but now he's alone. He finds a lot of damage onto jungler, but it's Tynz that gets the first kill.
maniaKK very low. Nika trying to chase him down, but he's actually going to get stunned. Mystic Rush chases and finishes him off. He's on a 3-killing spree, and now Leftovers are chasing FNATIC straight out of their jungle, and it's going to be a 1-for-1. Badgah falls for maniaKK, and that was a very aggressive move by Zyrhoes. I mean, just teleporting into the middle of 3, gets hit by the I'm a Monster.
Well, we said that about the I'm a Monster. The Tycho drums, you're going to set yourself up for the I'm a Monster, and that's exactly what jungler did. Difference is he didn't have the damage to destroy him in that one hit yet. If he was full build, I think that was a different story, but at the moment, he's still not reached it. Soul Reaver would have guaranteed it.
He's looking for it too. He's not going in the Book of Thoth. We've seen that kind of fall out of the meta unless it's really first purchased, and even then, I mean, if you're the boost, you're still going Soul Reaver there. Just that extra 15%, so powerful. Especially when combined, Tynz is fine, especially when combined with the Thunder Crash. There is so much damage on that ability, and it's very easy to confirm.
Well, this game right now, the two players that have impressed me the most in this game and probably been overlooked is Nika and Tynz. Tynz on this Apollo has had a very good game so far. Yes, he got picked off over in that duo lane, but at the same time, I've seen him make some very good plays in this game so far. He helped out finding the kills and getting himself out of danger. His damage may not, be the be-all and end of all of it, but I like the playstyle he's done so far, stepping in for reals. It's big old shoes to fill.
Oh, that is, those are some size, 16 shoes.
I think that's why Jermain's doing jungle now, because Jermain's like, nah, I ain't trying to fill real shoes. I ain't going to do that. Tynz, you can go do that.
Oh, look at that. Sidesteps the sash once again. He's been doing that all game, and now?
And Nika, Nika is 3-0-4 again on this Ravana. I think that's one of his best gods this season.
If I go back and look at the stats, I bet you Nika has, the most kills on this team, maybe by a large margin. Because every time I see them play, I always feel like Nika has all the kills, especially, like you said, when he's playing that Ravana.
And I think his Ravana stats are actually better than anybody else in the SPL, both North America and Europe combined. But Badgah, hunting in the jungle here around the speed buff, Dardez, and the boys of FNATIC. Well, they're in a defensive position here, but they're not scared to fight. No escape goes off after the blink, and Tycho drums is going to rain down. As on the back, the damage came out from a very good belly flop from Dardez, and it's actually Leftovers on the run right now.
Shell is going to be popped here. Badgah just trying to make space. Oh no, Cherryo whiffs right into the middle of 4. But look at this, I'm a Monster. It's over the corner, but it's going to miss as well.
And
no
now
connection.
The crush misses too. Chains come out from Badgah trying to peel for himself. Nika gave him some help, and Nika and Badgah both in trouble here. The body blocks from Nika may help, but Tycho jumps in with the Thunder Crash to Zyrhoes, looking for more damage. They're still not finding a target. Nika ults away. Badgah now isolated alone, does fall to Tynz.
And that's going to be a 1-for-0. Overall, Jermain, that would have killed him if he wasn't able to get the shield off in time. Going to be able to heal up here, and it's going to be a tier 1 in mid for FNATIC. And honestly, Leftovers, I think they've locked themselves into a very awkward spot here with these relics. They've got 3 members with Sanctuary and the Purification. You can see FNATIC, they pop Sprint to engage, and then immediately, Leftovers popped Sprint to engage, and then immediately FNATIC had 2 sprints to chase down the members of Leftovers.
Well, we've got a Crush, and we've got a Desert Fury available. That's all we're looking at. Jungler looking for the steal over the wall. The Crush is down. He's holding it. He's holding it. Leftovers get the Fire Giant away. Arkkyl jumps away off the back. Nika, meanwhile, teleports to the backside to create his own and then ult out as well. They should get out for free. Leftovers steal the Fire Giant because it looks like maniaKK's going to fall as Arkkyl dies. Jungler comes up big on the Scylla.
Leftovers got a little bit baited there. Arkyl's going to die. No Fire Giant for him, but really well played. That was a pure combination move. Arkkyl and Jungler, right? Jungler tosses the Crush over the wall, but he doesn't have the health. Arkkyl, I don't even think was in vision of the Fire Giant where Jungler was going to be able to see its health pool from behind the wall. He just waited. He waited, and Arkkyl goes, now it's popped. Stolen Fire Giant right out from under FNATIC.
And the thing is, why didn't FNATIC just stop damage? Did they expect that Crush to actually deal as much as it did? I mean, they didn't stop damage on it. They kept bursting it, and then Crush goes through, steals it.
We talked about it. It's a bunch of very good individual players that don't know how to work as a team, as a unit, especially considering there are 3 subs coming in. Jermain not playing his old SPL role in the jungle. I don't know who's calling for this squad, especially. Is it Zyrhoes?
It'll be Zyrhoes here, more than likely. I guess Jermain in the jungle will try and do some with Dardez, because those two go way back, I guess. Junglers are supports of generally the shot callers, but at this stage of the game, you're in the team fight stage now. You're looking towards whoever your overall team captain is on comms. That's probably Zyrhoes here. He's the leader of this team with reels out, and maniaKK will be leading with him, but it'll mainly be Zyrhoes on the comms that should be doing most of the decision-making.
And now Gold Tier are going to be taking 39 minutes into this match, 11-10 in kills. We've seen a lot of fights, not a lot of kills, and a stolen Fire Giant so far. This one, you can't give it to either team.
You can't call this a game of throws, but what I can call it is a game of real mistakes that have been punished by each team.
I'm going to go back to it. I really think that if FNATIC win this game, it's going to be because Leftovers locked themselves out of more team fighting relics. I think another sprint onto Arkkyl, especially against Jermain on this Nemesis, right? This is how you beat a Nemesis. You buy Sprint, you buy Winged Blade. Her ult is neutralized. Now, she's still going to have it up quite often, but it's definitely going to mitigate a lot of that power.
Well, there is 3 Winged Blades, at least for the side of Leftovers, so they are trying to focus a little bit on that. They're very worried about Zyrhoes as well, who has climbed with Jungler to the top of the damage charts, but now with the T2 tower down the left-hand side, Leftovers starting to siege up this Phoenix, and they have minions with them.
Tynz, he backed. He was split pushing at a time. It's going to be very hard for Leftovers to fight into this Phoenix. What they really need is a hard engage, which means it's going to be a
There
blink.
it is. I'm a monster. Nemesis immediately into the Eagles rally. I'm a monster over the top comes out. Zyrhoes, though, with the Taiko drums, deletes Badgah. Now he's Taiko crashing in onto Cherryo, who has to ult away. They're pushing back the boys of Leftovers, who have a Fire Giant buff.
Oh, big root coming out from Jungler, just trying to keep his team alive. You can see Cherryo going to be able to speed up there with the ring toss. Also has speed buff here. It's not going to be easy. Now, there it is.
He's still dead.
He's done.
I don't know if he needed the Sanctuary there. He was buying time more than anything for the rest of the Leftovers to get out. I think FNATIC should have carried on chasing, left Dardez to deal there with Najjar. I think Dardez could have eventually picked him up.
I mean, with the speed buff onto Cherry, I would imagine he was going to create enough space, but at the very least, you keep him running around the jungle for a long time and he can't defend.
And if the rest of your team group up, go down left-hand side, you can get a tier 1 tower, potentially even a tier 2 of your team in response. But taking the Fire Giant buff off Cherryo is I completely understand, so it's only on Nika and Jungler now as they're looking for this tier 2 tower in the left-hand, sorry, tier 1 tower in the left-hand side.
This is going to fall here, just a matter of time. Apollo at this stage of the game is shredding through it. You can see Tynz. He's got his
Wind Demon.
No, what is it? It's
Blood Shuriken.
Blood Shuriken of Doom online,
That's
as
true.
well as Chins. He's got Oboe as well.
I don't see the golden pairs though. That disappoints me.
Oh, right-hand side.
Nika's got a golden pair.
We got two on each side. The support, we got Badgah, and then Nika's got one as well.
Golden
and then
pairs, OP.
maniaKK.
Well, Dardez going to lead from the front now. It looks like FNATIC want to try and get a Phoenix out of this. Dardez going to tank things up. Nika on zone duty with Badgah there. And already Jermain ate a lot of poke for free and now has Phoenix aggro. Shield going to come out. No escape as well from Badgah, but Badger's in a lot of trouble. Those drums are going to rain down and delete him one more time as Dardez then picks up Arkkyl too. Nika on the front is being poked down. The crash in is good from Zyrhoes, which will make sure he is taken off the map too. But Jungler returning fire with a double kill. Zyrhoes tanking it up. 2 members isolated. They're not even looking at the Phoenix now. Jungler hasn't noticed his back. Going to crush onto maniaKK. maniaKK in trouble as well. He does Sentinel away, and Nika is back now with Cherryo in tow. This could turn around in favor of Leftovers.
Cherryo here already takes 50% of his life as he tries to chase down these members. maniaKK and Zyrhoes should be able to get away. It doesn't look like Cherryo wants to give up anyone for free, but he's going to stop at the red buff. But Leftovers, they hold. FNATIC, they were trying to go for the win there, looking to kill as many players as they can, then kill the Phoenix, then go to the Titan. But the problem is they just left Jungler unchecked in between. That was so weird because Jungler wasn't like in a really good position at the start of that. He was actually just sitting inside his Phoenix as half of FNATIC were diving into the Titan pit and the other half were behind, or excuse me, in front of the Phoenix, and he was just left alone.
They took Badgah out straight away. Then Arkkyl, Nika got very low but managed to escape, and then Jungler's like, all right guys, while you all get picked off, I will help defend this with ridiculous amounts of damage on that team fight.
I mean, the mages, you talked about it earlier, the mages right now are kind of the keys to both of these teams winning these games.
It is for now, but if we get into the jungle area, we could see the Hunters start to spike as well. Now, this is where the Hunters can really start to shred in these jungle engagements. Both of them have plenty of ability to be able to potentially like 3 or 4 shot any single character in this game.
You can actually, speaking of that, I mean, Arkyl's actually gone into the entire anti-front line, right? He's not going to be, this isn't, you know, the most DPS efficient when you're looking at squishy targets, but against Dardez, maniaKK, Jermain even, and then the 2 shells, he's going to be shredding through the protections. He's got the Executioner, he's got Brawlers, he's got Titan's Bane, and then he's got Chins as well. I mean, no one, and 10 penetration from Aussie as well. So, I mean, he's going to be shredding through any frontliners.
He will, but he's just going to make sure he gets the opportunity to. Now we're going to see, at the moment, Cherryo trying to clear out wards and poke out Dardez. He gets ball control for Leftovers around this Fire Giant, which has respawned. When you look at what happened in the last game engagement and then the Fire Giant, it was a tier 2 tower traded for a tier 2 tower. That's it. We're still pretty much even now.
The biggest problem for Leftovers right now is Zyrhoes is getting off all his damage every fight, right? He's Badgah goes aggressive, and while he typically does get the no escape off, or at least able to burn some purification, Zyrhoes always kills him, and typically will hit 1 or 2 members with another hit of the drums.
Do you send Tynz off to split push the Phoenix on the left-hand side? Because even if they get Fire Giant leftovers
no.
here, you can still defend. You've done it once before.
The biggest problem with that is you have to rely on your team to be able to play the positioning game on Fire Giant absolutely perfectly and not get scared and pull the trigger or not step out of line. And there is travel time on across the skies, which means, I mean, leftovers could just win the 5v4, take out 2 players before Tynz can even make it over there.
Well,
you can look at it, but it's a little bit risky, especially with this team on FNATIC, where they're just not really playing as the most solidified unit.
And leftovers right now, if you look at their engagement, it's all blink on Badgah into the no escape. There's no blink available for Cherryo this time to try and initiate something himself either. So it's going to be all down to just Badgah initiating for this team. And I think that's what FNATIC's waiting for. Let Badgah initiate. We'll delete him every time. Turn it into a 4v5 immediately.
You see Jermain there?
I did.
Spamming taunt because he was able to get that shield off and then
Gets hit by a second
getting
one.
hit by a second crush. Keep taunting. Watch Jermain die, and it's because he doesn't have as much health. He's not full health.
Oh, over in the jungle, Tynz is just hiding around the rock corner as Badgah was looking towards maniaKK and trying to zone him away from the team. But both teams, I expected this dance, and it finally happened.
I told you, 8 minutes. When did we start? 43?
I don't know.
So
It felt like forever ago.
51 minutes is when someone's gonna take control of the pit and win.
Because nobody wants to go back to base yet. You're all pretty much full build. Yeah, you may have an item to finish,
No,
but if
no
you
one
go
has any.
back, someone will clock you.
Can we
and then
see Golden Hand real quick? Looking for players who want the 3K pots. And
3,000.
That's Nika and Zyrhoes. Honestly, Zyrhoes being that close is pretty critical. 25% more damage. In addition, he could look for the defensive pot as well. 50 all protections on your carry who already has enough damage. That's very good.
And this is an advantage for FNATIC. Look at the mini-map. That's the big thing here. All the minions in all the lanes are in their favor. They don't have to worry about going back to farm and losing the experience or have any pressure after this fight. The minions are pushed up nice enough for them that they're okay to just hang around here. Steal the jungle, and Dardez being pressured a little bit here as the rest of his team doing speed buff now. But Dardez going aggressive.
By
now going to be
himself.
collapsed on, impaled into a wall, but shell popped. And there's the re-engage from FNATIC. They're looking for Arkkyl, who has the Sanctuary. maniaKK going to find that bludgeon. And in the sky is Tynz. Tynz looking to come down, but where to? He's looking for Arkkyl. I'm a monster. Does not find its target.
Off the mark.
Meanwhile, Tynz is fighting 2v1 and gets deleted. Zyrhoes, though, does come up big.
Arkkyl managing to come up with a very important kill for leftovers. Mid lane, it looks like the team fight has stopped. Dardez, Jermain, and a maniaKK backing off, but a huge misplay from jungler there, mistiming the Amma monster. That was a 100% guaranteed kill off of Cherryo's ult there, and because of that, not only does he get no damage off in the team fights, but he also isn't able to reset, which could have changed that, or honestly won the engagement for leftovers.
Well, also, another thing that went very well for leftovers, Badgah went back to peel for Arkkyl, who was in a lot of trouble there. Tynz actually dunked onto Arkyl's face, but the turnaround of having the pressure of that Ares with him just helped him out, and Tynz wasn't able to find the kill and fell down. So we're at that standoff still. There's going to be no switch up in this. Soul Reavers, as you can see, starting to be finished, and it's actually our boy Dardez. To be fair, that's one of the best things to get on a support.
Here's the thing.
So much fun.
Is that he's so tanky. He's got full stack Urchin. He's got Bulwark. He's got Hide. I mean, the Bacchus is tanky enough that he's only dying at the end of engagements. And with the Spirit's Robe, he's going to start off, do a bunch of damage with Soul Reaver proc, pop Shell, have the Chug for protections as well as the Spirit's Robe, 10% damage reduction when he gets CC'd, which someone on leftovers will. He'll probably get rooted by jungler more than likely, and then he's going to be tanky enough to live while still getting off an immense amount of damage.
If you hover over Dardez now as well and just hover over that Chug ability, you'll see how many protections you get from because it's like an item in this. You can see
35.
35 protections. It's like a whole item.
I mean, that's like sitting inside an Eagles Rally rank 3.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly...
So he could afford to go Soul Reaver for some extra damage, which could turn a fight, potentially.
And Eagles Rally, 50 all protect. Honestly, like, this is... This
Disarm from
FNATIC
maniaKK.
lineup.
He's a little bit surrounded here as Badgah threw out for a couple of chains. Didn't really find anything. maniaKK, though, will get away from the danger. Zyrhoes popped his head around the corner with the Raijin, looking for a little bit of poke, but not going to find anything. FNATIC have control of the Fire Giant pit for now, but they're not confident enough to start it just yet. Jermain is hiding behind that rock at the moment. He's trying to write his name in it, but Badgah spotted him, and Badgah's going to get focused. The ultimate was used. Half health already. Knock up is good, and deletion of the target. Zyrhoes picks up Badgah, and no ultimate from Zyrhoes was used there. However, jungler, he used the Diamond Monster.
Tynz very low there, managed to get out. Arkkyl actually getting chased under his tower. maniaKK and Dardez combining 2v3. They don't care at all, and they're going to find the kill. And a knockup from Dardez, just going to delay it. Jungler is able to pick off maniaKK in the backline, but look at this. Dardez with his Soul Reaver still not taking any damage, and the drums of war sound as Zyrhoes takes out Cherryo.
Just the one shot was required for that. Dardez trying to create more of his own and put some more on, but there's no extra pressure. Tynz has respawned, and he's ulting straight to the Fire Giant. FNATIC win the engagement, and that was all it takes. This is an opportunity now for FNATIC to potentially win this game.
Jungler not going to be able to get in position and steal this away in time. This should be burned by FNATIC. They won that team fight 3-1. You can see the damage almost doubling Leftovers there. And I think Leftovers, I said it at the beginning, there was two things, right? Jungler has to make sure to confirm his ultimates, which he hasn't the past 3 fights, and the lack of teamfighting relics is really hurting Leftovers. The double shells, the meditate, and the double sprints for FNATIC is so useful.
Lack of engage too, that's the other thing. They rely on Cherryo ulting, or they rely on Badgah ulting and going in to try and find a pick, and it's not worked out for them. You saw Badgah there, he got hit by 2 Soul Reavers. Dardez's followed by Zyrhoes, and that's why he was deleted without even needing the Taiko drums from the ultimate of Zyrhoes to confirm the kill.
FNATIC now with Fire Giant in hand. However, everyone in the game is full build. This is not free by any means. Not a single Phoenix has been taken. And honestly, Leftovers, we're talking about their lack of engage, but I mean, their defense is pretty good, right? It's very hard to fight into a Scylla that's well positioned.
And we mentioned how difficult it is Leftovers to engage, but their defense, like you said, is on the stronger side. That's one of the benefits of this composition they've got. FNATIC, though, they've got pretty good engage for themselves. They've got that Bacchus, which has been making big plays, and maniaKK's not scared to throw that Eagles rally out and look for the backline, which is what they've actually find more kills off that engagement from.
3K pots abound. Arkkyl has one. Tynz has one. Can we look at Zyrhoes real quick? I'd like to see if he's got one on him. Can we lower the player damage? That should be able to show it. No, it's just a 450 pot, so no 3K pot for Zyrhoes.
Well, that's 1,059 magical power.
That's a lot of magical power.
That's a lot.
Can we hover over Thunder Crash real quick before we get into this?
Thunder Crash.
Yeah, that's going to do a lot of damage.
No, really?
That's 60%.
Is that,
so
your deep analysis there, Adonis?
That's a whole lot of damage on a very easy to hit ability. That's going to swing for about 1K. And if you have Raijin on there as well, that should one-shot anyone on Leftovers outside of Badgah.
I'm pretty sure Taiko Drums, the ultimate, is actually 100% scaling, right? It is. Oh, it's 50% now.
But it's 4 shots.
Bad. But it's 4 shots.
So 200% scaling.
No, beat 1 is 100% damage. There you go.
There we go.
If he just uses beat 1, GG. No re.
That's a lot of damage.
So just line them up. That's how you want to do it. Line them up in a single line and press 1.
That's been the problem with Badgah, right? We started seeing him blink in less and less because he would blink in and then just get Jermain ulted, and then 1 beat of the 4 would just eliminate Badgah.
Well, the sound from FNATIC right now, if you're a FNATIC fan, should be escalating in your favor. The pressure in mid lane as a team here. There's the ultimate from Jermain, going to hit onto Nika, but they don't have to worry too much even if it doesn't come of it, because you know what? Jermain's he'll be up again in a few more seconds, so it's not too bad.
Badgah gonna find a chain, and I think that's what FNATIC are gonna wait on. They have Fire Giant here for another 1.5 minutes. They don't need to pull the trigger just yet. I'm a little bit surprised they're not pushing up the right-hand side, but they do have Tynz split pushing on the left. They're just trying to split Leftovers forces. They don't want to take a 5-on-5. They'd rather split up and then be able to just hard commit onto one player.
The last time they got to a Phoenix jungler defended so well, and there's another good defense coming out from him as well. That's sick, and followed by the crush, just half-health maniaKK, who is a frontline tank.
That's a warrior. And maniaKK says, I gotta go back. He does have TP, so this isn't too worrying. FNATIC, it's so, like, with jungler here, they're just so scared to go in.
Now, I do like the call what jungler did here. He sold his Polynomicon for Book of Thoth, and I think that was good for the engagements, but I think for defense, it'd be better to have the Polynomicon on defense because you can position yourself a little bit better to get that in-hand off.
The problem is that, you know, if he's in a position to get an auto off, he's probably dead anyway. And that's what we saw from him in a lot of earlier team fights, where he would be pretty close into the engagement, even before he had his Polynomicon on, and he would just get hit by a single Taiko drum. I think sitting around these corners is probably the better path to go. And honestly, Book of Thoth, obviously you want to get the stacks up, but it's only like 20 extra power. It's not anything to really worry about.
The Fire Giant doesn't have long left on him. They're going to have to make a commitment soon, but maniaKK walked all the way back to base, walks all the way back, and he's already been knocked out of the fight again. Dardez flops in, misses everybody. Looking for Cherryo, though, and Dardez is now isolated, has to pop the shell on himself, ring toss off the mark, and FNATIC's Fire Giant will slowly disappear.
I don't think this game is ending at Phoenix's. There's no way either of these teams, if they play it well enough, should be able to be engaged on at their own Phoenixes.
I agree.
I think that's going to be the second. a team is going to win this off of Fire Giant. They have to. It's so hard to fight into these mages right now. Jungler and Zyrhoes are just powerhouses of damage.
Well, you're guaranteed over 70-second respawn by this point, guaranteed. And if 4 members of your team die, it doesn't matter who's left on defense, they won't be able to hold off from the army that will come in. So this game could still go either way. If you look at FNATIC's, look at FNATIC's defenses here, they've only got a tier 2 tower in mid, and a tier 2 tower in right, and a tier 1 tower in right, but left on Phoenix is exposed, and you can backdoor that Titan pretty quickly now.
If I'm leftovers, I'm not even contesting the Fire Giant. We've lost every single fight outside of defensive engagements, right? I'm just giving it up to FNATIC. I'm sitting at my Phoenixes because I just showed at full build and the other team having Fire Giant, we can defend, right? Jungler right now is crushing players for half their health.
It was a Sikkim crush 2 times in a row that stopped FNATIC from being able to defend to assault the Phoenixes. Back to the Fire Giant fight we go again, and the usual dance will begin. Jermain will probably taunt and then get hit by a crush.
Just give it up, leftovers. There's not a single need to fight into this.
Well, you say that, but then how are they going to win the game?
Badgers
force them?
Hey, you wait till FNATIC makes a mistake. Now, don't get me wrong. This could go on for a very long time if that's the case, but still.
I don't know the case for now. Leftovers are happy to push in a little bit and just poke the head around, see the positioning, see if they can get some wall coverage. Maybe look for another steal, but Dardez has had enough. He's going to half health Arkkyl already with the Intoxicate. The leap from maniaKK is good in the Eagles rally, but Arkkyl had the Sanctuary and leapt away himself. And so everybody falls back to defensive positions. Cherryo going to find a nice ring toss, and Arkkyl going to return to base as the meditate comes out.
Give it up. Give it up, leftovers. Let them take it. Defend your Phoenixes. Badgah here, trying to jockey for position. And FNATIC are just trying to bait leftovers in. They don't want to force this Fire Giant. They want to force the fight here. Dardez looking for the jump here.
Oh, Tynz got hit twice by the Fire Giant there, which is going to slow down damage and force him to reset the Fire Giant. There's the ult onto Badgah. Meanwhile, Cherryo does sash in and ult onto a completely different target on the backside. I'm a monster off the mark from Jungler completely, as Dardez was the one hit, but now the Taiko drums are here, and Cherryo is no longer here. The crush, however, from Jungler deletes one. Arkkyl gets the credit for the kill with the Desert Fury. No escape, says Badgah. Yes, escape, says FNATIC. 1-for-1 trade. Fire Giant still stands.
Leftovers took so much poke there, they can't chase FNATIC off. Once again, Jungler off the mark with his ultimates. They're just not connecting. He's trying to free hit them. He's not waiting for setup from the rest of his team. Tynz just goes, oh, you're ulting? I'm just going to backstep, quickly avoids it. To be fair, though, Tynz, if he hesitates for half a second, he will get deleted by I'm a Monster.
Well, both teams will at this stage. Those 2 mages in the mid lane have ridiculous amounts of power right now. I'm pretty sure anybody gets hit by him. That's 813 at the moment on 0, so a little bit lower than it was. I don't think he's got the red buff right now. And
I mean,
Jungler 850.
Look at these damage charts, right? 30k coming out from Arkkyl, and then it jumps up to 42 onto Zyrhoes. I mean, it's all about the mages, right? Can they stay alive? Or can they get a kill?
Red buff. Red buff is what's going to boost them even more. It's worth more to them than the Fire Giant for both these mages at all stages of the game.
It's a much bigger power spike. Obviously, you do have the Raijin, which is very good if you're looking to siege.
A little bit of trouble. That's a great impale coming out from Arkkyl there just to deny him. But all maniaK's doing is creating a zone. And leftovers without vision, they're very scared about pushing forward
in a bad spot.
Badgah takes half health. Just above half. Sorry, just below half health. But there's an ult coming out from Jermain onto him too. But a root comes out to save the day.
Really big. Very important here. 57 minutes in, 21-15 in kills, but I mean, the game's dead even at this point. FNATIC have been getting the better of leftovers in the team fights, but leftovers, their defense has been way too strong. This Scylla.
Dardez has come back, as has Cherryo, so it becomes a 5v5 one more time.
Neither team can even look at the red buff. It's like they're just on the wrong side of the map most of the time.
Actually, you say that, but
they're both going now, but before they couldn't.
Do you reckon they whispered each other just and they went, hey, do you want to go and get your red buff? I'm like, yeah, do you want to get yours? All right, cool. We'll go now. You ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, we'll both leave and get them at the same time. Cool.
Probably it. I mean, honestly, if I'm jungler, I'm doing that because Zyrhoes has been getting the better, I think, of most of the engagements. And now here, Fire Giant. It's going to be circled around once again. Jermain here caught by himself. This could be bad for FNATIC.
Zyrhoes, and there's a crush down from Jungler as well. It does detonate, but Jermain heals up with a shield. Zyrhoes over the wall, annihilates Jungler in 2 shots of doom. Dardez now going to be able to push forward. The tank crashing from Zyrhoes, looking at Badgah. Badgah has to pop shell, but going to get ulted by Jermain. Dardez flops in to try and close the gap. Can they get to Badgah in time? They're going to slow him once more, but there comes the pair of doom to save him. The Phoenix is under threat. FNATIC should get this for free.
This is going to be the first Phoenix of the game if they manage to. Jermain taken up. There's meditation as well. A couple more shots. Phoenix finally falls left-hand side. Jungler still dead. FNATIC still 5 members strong. Not even worrying about the Fire Giant here. They want to end now.
They can't end now. They're at half health, and there's enough members of leftovers here to defend, so they'll take their victory with that one Phoenix and retreat through the enemy jungle.
Beautiful play coming out from Zyrhoes, recognizing that Tynz is caught. Instead of even looking to kill off Badgah or Cherryo when he lands, turns his attention to the Scylla in the jungle and just annihilates him. And Jungler, very slow on the reaction time, had both his Purification and his Sanctuary up, doesn't even use them. Just either not respecting the damage coming out of the Raijin or just not having the reaction time.
If he didn't see it either, I mean, to be fair, he was in the Ammo Monster ultimate at the time. Was he in the Ammo Monster or just looking for the crush?
He was just looking for the crush. He was just sitting there. He was just sitting there by himself.
I'd love to see how you were killed and it was just like one shot from Zyrhoes, because I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
It was 3. It was the taunt. He doesn't purify it. He gets hit by at least another one, doesn't Sanctuary.
Well, FNATIC trying to force this now with Jungler still being dead in the 4v5. Nika going to get ulted by Jermain. Arkkyl creating a zone with a good impale, but Zyrhoes deletes Nika already.
FNATIC.
The damage coming out from the Drum Master Raijin is huge, and he's trying to use the Taiko drums through, and he'll find Badgah for the double kill. Zyrhoes and the boys of FNATIC are now marching on for a Phoenix.
I'm a monster!
Not going to connect.
Off the mark. Again, a big crush. And Root will keep FNATIC backed off here. They were able to finally get 2 kills here and have an advantage, but the damage they took from Scylla a little bit too much. They're forced back here. Arkkyl going to watch them back as well. You can see they were on top of a ward. maniaKK going to TP back in as Tynz heals up with his auto attacks. And now Fire Giant going to be looked at. Still 2 members dead for leftovers.
And Arkkyl now going to finally go back to base there. He has no mana whatsoever, so he's going to have to recall, and that means FNATIC have the opportunity here. We'll see how this one's going to work out. Fire Giant still above half health right now. We're just waiting patiently.
And now there's no way leftovers are going to be able to defend this. Badgah in 40, Nika in 30, and they're not going to be up at least for this Phoenix siege on the right-hand side.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do, because now with the Fire Giant online, they've got Nika dead for 20 seconds, Badgah dead for another 25. This should be a free Phoenix on the right-hand side. I think with Jungler and Arkkyl alive and Cherryo, though, they can defend a Titan siege unless one of them gets picked. Phoenix isn't going to fall so fast. It's like a hot knife through butter.
No, he's on vacation right now.
That's what Tynz said.
Sprint popped here, and FNATIC are looking to end. Nika has respawned, Badgah in 5. The Phoenix should fall. Leftovers, they're going to have to all in on their Titan. Tynz gets hit by a big crush, and the minions are actually being stolen away as he's trying to lifesteal here. He does have the back harpies.
He'll be okay for now.
Nope.
I mean, he just hang around with his team. The team
Wait for
fall
fire
back.
minions. If I'm FNATIC, I'm stripping this red buff away from Jungler. I'm giving it to Zyrhoes, and I'm looking to get the other one onto Tynz here.
Well,
But no, they're not even going to wait for the fire minions. They're going to go straight in.
The game's not over right now. They've got no fire minions coming, as you said. They're just going to try and push out these waves a little bit more. I guess they're all still full build and happy with where they are right now. So it's patiently wait and try and use these fire minions to their advantage.
With how close this has been, I'm backing. I'm getting the red buff. I'm getting the speed buff. They still have Fire Giant for another minute and 30. They're still going to be in the same position if they spend 30 seconds doing that. But FNATIC, they want to end now. 62 minutes in, they're tired of leftovers holding.
I think they want this middle Phoenix, first of all. It is due to respawn relatively soon as well, so if they can just chip this one down before their Fire Giant does wear off, then they've got plenty of time to be able to try and siege this Titan with 3 Phoenixes down for a while.
Spawning here soon.
I wish you'd play a different beat on those drums.
Oh, with each auto?
Yeah, no, like every single rotation's a different tune, you know? Because that tune gets a little bit boring after a while, let's be honest. Douche, 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 douche.
Who's going to make the move? Are leftovers going to get aggressive here? I mean, I would. It's so hard. Honestly, I mean, Zyrhoes could probably take the Titan to half by himself. Cherryo isolated on the side, but a good impale from Arkkyl will keep him back. I'm a monster, and it connects on his Zyrhoes, but it's not enough damage to finish him off. Nika Mystic Rush to the back, but Zyrhoes is going to be able to reset. The Titan hasn't taken any damage, but here comes Badgah into the fountain.
Dardez in trouble. maniaKK deleted. Dardez tries to flop. The Titan, however, still falls the way of FNATIC. It took 63 minutes for FNATIC to find that win. It could have gone either way. Plenty of mistakes were made from that game. Or like, I won't say mistakes, but like
both teams
misplays, not mistakes as a whole. Like the opportunities
Jungler
left up.
Cherryo has translated into the jungle very well, in my opinion. Jungler, though, struggling in this mid lane position.
Seemed to do a little bit. Let's go back right to the beginning of this game where First Blood began. We had good plays from both teams, and at the beginning of this game, well, it was all Dardez and the boys in the duo lane finding that pick on Arkkyl.
It's the Bruise brothers, except one of them was in the jungle. Dardez and Tynz combine, the knock-up, and Arkkyl falls for First Blood. Really well played from them, and you know, that wasn't a big combination there, but still, really well played by FNATIC there, I think, overall, at the end of the day, especially at the end of the game.
Well, both teams, I mean, even Arkkyl over in the dual lane on Anhur for that. We didn't say too much about him, but he was involved in a lot of rotations very early and found some very key picks.
Honestly, he found some very key impales as well. Out-rotates Tynz on the Apollo, finds that kill, and this is him and Cherryo combining for a kill on a Tynz late into the game, 30 minutes, and this was just really well played.
That last in-hand into impale, just abusing that little factor as well. So, and then this fight, Desert Fury through multiple targets.
I think he hits all 3 players, reducing their protections, and it's every single auto onto Dardez. He's juking around, finds the knock-up onto maniaKK, and maniaKK escapes, but that was the Gold Fury in favor of Leftovers.
But it wasn't them that won the game. It was FNATIC that finally won after 63 minutes. Zyrhoes, obviously, on that Raijin made the biggest impact, the highest player damage in the game. And my oh my, those taiko drums. The rise of Raijin is finally here after, well, let's be honest, he had a very disappointing performance in the start of the Pro League, this guy.
I think this is just going to be highlights of Badgah ulting and then just Zyrhoes on the first tick killing Badgah. Just every single time. Also here,
nice
sniping out Cherryo. Just look at the damage coming out of this late game mage. I believe he was at 50,000 during that last siege as well.
It's just every single time. That was a Raiju into the percussive storm that just worked out nicely for him. Yeah, Raijin's changes to that ultimate have made him a little bit more viable. The long range hits, being able to taunt, fear, or even just do 100% damage has just been so valuable that I think Raijin is a permaban, and it probably will be up to DreamHack.
And it's funny too, because we saw Zyrhoes switch up his style. Early game, he was very aggressive with the Thunder Crash, knowing that the other team really didn't have the damage necessarily. Also had the safety of the double shells and meditation on his teams. Also a sprint to get him out. And then as he went into late game, we saw less aggressive Thunder Crashes, more positioning, and just trying to find big snipes once the team fight broke out.
Well,